If I think back before I played Mass Effect 3 and thought what would be the safest bet I could make for what the ending would be, that would be the Reapers would all be destroyed, whether that means through conventional warfare or a kill all button. The ending of the series would be all the Reapers are dead, or mostly dead. But what we got wasn't that. What we got was 3 endings: destroy, control, and synthesis. And 2 out of the 3 doesn't make much sense to be there. Trying to control the Reapers has always been framed as futile. Any use of their technology inevitably leads to indoctrination, as the Elusive Man found out. Trying to use any of their tech led the Elusive Man to his downfall. Saren, likewise, initially thought he could stop them by controlling or cooperating with them, but suffered the same fate. He was trying to experiment with indoctrination and see how it works, what's the limits, and if he was being indoctrinated, and he was trying to see what he could do against them. Quick point on Saren, he was more aligned with the control ending than the synthesis ending, as again, his initial encounter with the Reapers was trying to control or stop them. The part with him saying that he will be, we will all be fused with machines and whatnot, was not done on his own free will. He did not decide that outcome. So the entire series has always shown that trying to control the Reapers can't be done without becoming a pawn. Synthesis has more basis. As the series has always explored the conflicts between organics and synthetics, how the conflicts begin and end, and what the solutions to the conflict might be. But the synthesis ending fails as a solution because it is a forced one. All the organic synthetic conflicts in Mass Effect have hinted the solution is cooperation, a setting down of differences and moving forward together. If you choose to make peace with the Quarians and Geth, the aftermath shows the two at peace. You found a solution. The Geth begin to help the Quarians settle down and work to get them outside their suits. Peace can be accomplished, and more importantly, it isn't a forced peace. Unless you did a Renegade Shepherd option, then maybe, but it's, yeah. The synthesis is a forced peace. Not in terms of stopping 2 warring nations, but a peace that is forcing everyone's identity and freedom to be washed away. They didn't have a choice in the matter, but are now fundamentally changed without their consent. 2 out of the 3 endings don't make sense to choose, from a logical standpoint or a thematic standpoint. Controlling the Reapers have never worked, and synthesis violates everyone's autonomy, which doesn't make sense thematically, because, again, you already found a solution if you just helped the Quarians and Geth settle their differences. You already found the thematic solution to it, and the only reason you would choose any of those options is so you don't destroy ED or the Geth. Why did Bioware think they should add these 2 endings? Thinking about it just for a bit, it makes sense that it is makes it clear to see the ending's flaws. So again, why did Bioware make them? It's not like people or I expected much. The safest assumption, and one that many people would have been satisfied with, is the Reapers all destroyed in some manner, and an epilogue slide like how Dragon Age did it, how Baldur's Gate did it, and that would be fine enough. What makes this even weirder is that they were under an extremely heavy crunch time to finish the game, and just doing the destroy ending seems like a no-brainer. People's expectations would be met with the ending, and it would save time and effort to do just 1 ending instead of 3. The worst you could expect is people saying, maybe it is a bit safe, but is it really bad? Like, really? So why? So why did Bioware do this? In the articles that I've linked in the description below, you will see that in the first article, it implies that Casey Hudson and Mac Walters are at fault, Patrick Weeks being the one to point that out. But the comment that was made is gone, and at the time, community coordinator Chris Presley said Weeks didn't say any of that, so we can't really take it as a source. Though the comments this Weeks did say is fairly interesting if that's what Weeks actually said. Again, it's a bit of a hearsay, she said, is it true, is it not true? It's a whole complicated issue, but we'll loop that back now. But in the second article, it does confirm some points in the first article. Chris Helper, Bioware writer, said the project leads accepted the idea for endings. Chris Helper didn't hint at who proposed the ending, but it's likely that a lead pitched it, because I can't imagine, with how the Mass Effect team is structured, that some random developer, not a lead, has the power or clout to get that idea pushed through. For context, the Mass Effect team is a hierarchical structure. Decisions on what to do and what to focus on is decided at the top. The rest of the structure can give feedback, but that doesn't turn into decisions being made or changed. My source for this my source for the Mass Effect team having this hierarchical structure is a video made by Mark Darrow called "The Pirate Ship versus the Enterprise," and you can look it up in the description below. So, from that, I do think it is the lead's fault for making the ending. Now, who specifically, I'm not sure. Again, Casey Hudson or Mac Walters are suggested as the ones who pitched the idea, and why they did it, I'm not, well, we'll get into that now, but it isn't clear. But it is, at least from what we can say, safest bet, that the leads did it. But still, why did they do that? I can't imagine that pitch sounded really good. Like, okay, imagine instead of just killing the Reapers, we like had like the player choose like different options, you know, and then like each of the options, you know, were like super bad, like all bad, right? Like the destroy ending is like, you know, you destroy the Reapers, but like you kill all robots, including Joker's wife and your best friends, the Geth. The next ending would be like controlling the Reapers. The downside, they still exist. The next one is making everyone into one goo thing without their consent. Brilliant, the developers said to that idea. The idea of trying to make multiple endings and make no one ending the correct ending makes some sense. But the way they decided it should be done makes it worse than just having one singular ending or a correct ending. Also, why does there need to be multiple endings? Because that has to be a question that has to be asked. Why does there need to be multiple endings? Why couldn't the ending you get be based on the choices, or at least the war assets that you got? That is an idea that the first article I showed mentioned. That, yeah, why didn't they just make the war assets that? It's not like making one ending with epilogue slides would have been terrible. I'd argue it would have been better. It makes a lot more sense to just destroy the Reapers, as it is what the series has set up to expect, than just have your Shepard narrate on what happened. Like, for example, like this. Curing the genophage was a tough choice to make. Risking the chance of a Krogans starting a new war on a weakened galaxy was a concern. But if we didn't give them the chance, how could we know if it's that what they would have done with it? Rex and Eve showed that I made the right choice. With them at the lead began a Krogan renaissance of art and technology, an age of peace. Curing the genophage was a tough choice to make. Risking the chance of a Krogans starting a new war on a weakened galaxy was a concern, and I was wrong. Reeve descended upon a weakened galaxy and slaughtered his way to Krogan supremacy. I think that is a far more preferable option than just trying to do every option is grey, or we need multiple endings because that makes sense. Because what made making choices so meaningful in Mass Effect wasn't that you could make it and see what happened, but how the characters I and others loved reacted to them. Keeping Rex alive, but not curing the genophage, is heartbreaking. The one person he trusted in the galaxy betrayed him. And to see that makes the choice to do it and not do it far more impactful. I never get why the leads during Mass Effect 3 thought their ending is better, despite what developers said to them. I can get that they were trying to find some hypothetical best ending for the series, and what they thought the best ending is one with multiple endings that are all morally ambiguous. Either way, it shows that they weren't really in touch with the reality of what the endings was, and what people expected from an ending. Mass Effect 1 clearly shows and states that the Reapers aren't a force you can bargain with, or make peace with. The only option was destruction. And it's not like they couldn't have done that in Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 3 obviously had to ride from Mass Effect 2 and understanding that the Reapers were a huge threat. The ending of Mass Effect 2 shows just a huge number of descendant of Reapers, implying that there's even more behind them. And the Crucible was a fine enough way to say, like, okay, this is how we're going to kill all the Reapers, without getting too much into magic science and whatnot, or some other convoluted answer. The Crucible is fine as a kill all button. It makes sense that the civilizations throughout the time would try to make a device that would kill the Reapers. All they had to do was end the game after your final conversation with Anderson and show what happened during, depending on how many war assets you had. Like, for example, if you have the maximum amount of war assets, you have Earth safe, the robots undead, everything's all groovy and whatnot. It'll still take time to rebuild, the galaxy is in mourning, but you have a better ending. But if you got the minimum amount of war assets, then I think that should be a lot more of a consequence thing, and all of that should change the other choices that you make. Like, if you have the lowest amount of war assets, and you cured the Krogans, you can have some sort of epilogue like, it took a while to get back to Chichanka, but when we got back to Chichanka, we saw hordes of Krogan, and if it was high amount of war assets, it's like, we got back to Chichanka, we connected the galaxy really quickly, and the Krogans were just starting to have mass numbers similar to those in the days of the Ragnar War. Something like that. And that, I think, is all that the ending needed to be.